And also I would like to extend my thanks to our pastor, Dr. An, and also Sister Kristen for giving me this privilege this afternoon. Let's turn our Bibles again to Psalms number 123, as our sister has read out the passage for all of us. And so this afternoon I want to speak on the topic, or I want to caption my topic as the Psalms of a Weary Eyes. Now this Psalms 120 to 134 is called a Song of Ascents. Now usually it seems this Psalms, the children of Israel used to read this or sing this song when they go up to Jerusalem for worship or for sacrifice. Now some commentators say that these Psalms are usually read during the time of the captivity when they were allowed, when Cyrus allowed the children of Israel to go back to Jerusalem to worship. But I doubt, because the temple was not yet rebuilt, and then the sacrifice and offering were not yet restored. After the return only that they built the temple and then restored the sacrifice. But I believe that this was written by David when he ran away from his enemies, because most of his life, almost a year, he was in the jungle running away from his enemies. Saul was trying to eliminate him, trying to kill him, and so he was in the jungle. And for him it is difficult to go back to Jerusalem for worship and then for sacrifice. And so when he had the opportunity to go and worship and sacrifice, they usually read this psalm, Song of Ascent. And so here we see that the psalmist is expressing the problem, the difficulties, and then the troublesome that he is going through. He was so weary, weary out with all the problems and difficulties. Weary out running after his enemies. Just imagine, because when he commits sin against God by asking his chief of army Job to take sentence, God gave him 3 choices, right? 3 months to flee from the enemies, or 3 days, angel of death, and then the famine. You see, and so with all this trouble, David was worried. Not only that, while he was, as we read this, I lift up my eyes to you whose throne is in heaven. And so David is telling us, the writer of this psalm is telling us that don't look at the situation. Because when it says, I lift up my eyes. Now here, how many times the eyes is written? I lift up my eyes, 1, and verse 2 is the eyes, and then verse 2, second part is the eyes, and then verse 3, the third part is our eyes look. You see, here the eyes is written 4 times. And so he said that, I lift up my eyes. Now it says that, to you whose throne is in heaven. Now, the deliverance, the providence, the rescue comes from heaven. The throne of God is the source of our deliverance. Not the church, not the family, not the friend, not the parents. But the source of deliverance comes from heaven. And so the writer is telling us that don't look at the situation, don't look down on that situation, don't look at the circumstances. He said, when you face any difficult situation, he said, look to the heaven, because there comes deliverance, there comes the providence, there comes the answer. Because heaven is the place where God enthroned. And from there he answers our prayer. From there, he sent the deliverance. From there, he sent the providence. David was delivered from his enemies not by his soldiers, not by his army. It was God who delivered him. It was God who rescued him. It was God who provided him. And so he says that, I lift up my eyes to you. Now he's saying that I don't look to the situation, I don't look to the circumstances. That when I face problem, when I face difficulties, he said, I look to you. I lift up my eyes. I lift up my eyes to heaven, because that is where the deliverance come. And verse 2, it says that, as the eyes of a slave look to the hand of their master, as the eyes of the maidservant look to the hand of our mistress. Now here it speaks, we are all servants of God. You see, we're all God's servant. And so usually a servant always wait upon their master, right? Stand beside while they are eating, or stand beside, where they are told to stand. And unless the master said eat, they don't eat, right? Unless the master tell them move or do this or do that, they just wait for the command of the master. You see? And so here he's saying that, and so our eyes look to the Lord our God till he shows us his mercy. Till, which means until God answer our prayer, until God answer and bring rescue to the circumstances, he said, we must wait upon him. Sometimes as a human being, we wait on God for some time, and then we are so impatient, and he said, okay, let me do it by myself because I cannot wait his answer. We feel that, we feel that waiting God's timing is, sometimes we think that it's very long, right? Or it's very tiresome, waiting for God's timing. But as servants, as God's children and as his servants, we must wait for God's answer. He may say yes, he may say wait, he may give. But it does not matter, because the psalmist is saying that we have to wait till, which means until he answers us, until he sends deliverance. We must wait for him. And so, waiting upon God's timing tells us about our submission, right? It speaks of our humility, our submission. When you try to do it by yourself, which means you don't want to submit, you don't want to acknowledge that God is the author. We fail to acknowledge that God is the author. And so waiting upon God's timing speaks of our humbleness. Waiting of God's timing speaks of God's sovereignty, which means that, God is the ruler. He controls everything. He is the sovereign. He is the sovereign. Not you, not me, not your friends, not your relative, not your parents. But our God is sovereign. You see? God is sovereign. And we as his creature must humble ourselves before him. Because it says that the book of James tells us that humble yourself, right? James chapter 5. Humble yourself in the sight of the Lord, and he will what? He will lift us up, right? He will raise us up, or he will lift us up. But when you don't wait for him, I don't think you will able to achieve. We will able to achieve. I will able to achieve. Just imagine, Joseph. Joseph was waiting for 15 years to be the governor or the next ruler in the kingdom of Egypt, right? Just imagine 15 years. And all those 15 years was not, the situation was not smooth. He was accused falsely and put him into the prison without any reason. Just Potiphar's wife accused him of molestation or attempt of rape, and then he was put into prison. He looked to God, where comes the deliverance, right? He waited for 15 years. He waited for 15 years. How long Abraham waited to fulfill the promise of God? right? God said, I will give you a son. And Abraham Abraham got son at the age of 100. And just imagine what happened, because he could not able to wait God's promise. And then he took Hagar as his mistress, and then a child was born, Ishmael. And now the problem that is creating between Ishmael and then Isaac. You see, that's a lesson for us to wait upon God's timing, to wait upon God's time. His answer. And so the writer is encouraging us that we must look to God and we must wait upon Him until He shows us His mercy. Now here, how many times the word mercy is written? You see, 3 times. Till He shows us His mercy, and then He said, have mercy on us, O Lord, have mercy on us. For we have endured much contempt. Now Christians are always ridiculed. Christians are always looked down. No, Christians are always counted as minority. We're always looked down. Now in India, Christians are minority. They look down on Christians. They mock, ridicule at Christians. I think many of you heard about William Carey, the father of modern mission, who came to India in 1700s. And so he came to India as a missionary. He struggled a lot. He struggled a lot. But he worked hard in spite of all the opposition. And he became professor of Sanskrit language in Calcutta, in William College. Just imagine, right? A foreigner coming and learning Indian, that original language Sanskrit, and became a professor. I'm an Indian, but I hardly knows Sanskrit. See, but he worked hard, and then he translated the Bible into 30 language, and then he give it to the Indian people. And then he is the one who fought against the Indian Hindus about about this sati. That means, for example, if I die, usually the Indian they burn the dead body, and so they burn the dead body. And so if I die, while they are burning my body, my wife should jump into the fire and burn along with their husband's dead body. That's called sati. And so, in order not to allow that wife to remarry again, the wife must die along with her husband. That is what the Hindu practice. And so it was William Carey who who appealed against the British government, and along with the British government, he fought the Hindu fanatics, and then that sati was abolished because of William Carey. And so he went back to his hometown, and then while coming back from sheep, there were some well-educated Indians and then well-educated British who were coming to India, East India Company. And so while they were traveling together, they were mocking at William Carey. And one of the officers, well-educated from Oxford University, he asked sarcastically, he told Pastor William, I heard that before you became a missionary and before you came to India, I heard that you are a village shoemaker. And so William Carey, he just smiled and he said, no, you are wrong. I am a village shoe mender, not maker. I don't make shoe. I mend shoes. You see, there is a difference between making and mending is not it. You see, I repair shoes. You see, I did not make new shoes, but I repaired those old shoes. And then he shut the mouth of that well-educated man. He was ridiculing at William Carey, not thinking that what you can do, what a shoe mender can do. But it was William Carey who brought a great change in India. See? And then his mission even extended to Burma. He was a mighty man of God. See? And so here, Christians are always ridiculed. Christians are always condemned. Christians are always counted as minority. That what you Christian can do. You see, what you Christian can do. And many Indians are condemning the Christians, but it was Christians who brought education to India. See? It was those missionary Christians who changed our culture, Naga culture, who were headhunters. Who changed our tradition, our culture from headhunter to love one another, to help one another, and then to lift up one another. That was our culture. A village will go and attack the village. And the one who brought more human head becomes the chief of the village. But it was Christian. It was Christianity that brought change. It was Christianity that brought education. It was Christianity that brought hospital. All these are done by Christians. But here we see that we have endured much ridicule from the proud. You see, we are ridiculed. We are condemned. And we are counted as minority, but we know that God is on the throne and He will send the deliverance. So it says that, have mercy on us. So He's praying that we are surrounded by enemies, oh Lord, and with our own strength, with our own ability, we cannot do anything. And so the writer is saying that, help us, Lord, bring a deliverance. Bring a deliverance. We are all surrounded. Maybe we are not persecuted, but daily we have a burden. We are surrounded with problems, with difficulties, which is very difficult for us to solve, which is very difficult for us to handle. And what is our prayer today? Are we praying, have mercy on us, and then deliver us? Have mercy on us, and then answer us, and then bring provision, bring providence in our life. Have mercy on me and help me to accomplish my coming to Korea here. Right? Have mercy on me and help accomplish my task here. And then go back to my place and serve. It's it's a shameful thing, right? When we don't complete the course, or if we don't achieve the purpose that God has brought us here. And so my prayer for myself is that, Lord, have mercy on me. Send a deliverance, because I looked to you, the throne where the help comes, where the deliverance comes, where the providence comes. And so we have endured much ridicule from the proud, much condemned from the arrogant. We have God who will deliver us from all this ridicule, from all this contempt, from all the proud people. It is God who helped me. It is God who helped you. And we are what we are today because the help comes from the throne. The deliverance comes from the throne. The providence comes from the throne. And so let us look to God, not to the situation. No. If you look to the situation and circumstances and go, I don't think you will find the answer. I don't think you will achieve. But when you look, because Hebrews chapter 12 tells us that looking unto Jesus, the author and then the finisher of our faith. He did not say looking at the circumstances, the author and finisher of our faith. He said looking unto Jesus. And so as the psalmist lift up his eyes and look to the throne of God for deliverance, for providence, and for answer, let us also look to God for our deliverance, for our answer, and then for our providence. May God bless each one of us through this message. Thank you.